Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. What's happening, my paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. Guys, Happy New Year. We have made it to a brand new year, and boy, do we got some awesome guests lined up for you guys. But first, we always got to say we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. All right, so we're doing things a little different here in 2025. Every month, we're going to start the show off with one episode a month, the first episode of the month, with our very own CEO, the skeptical sleuth himself, founder of TESA, Ryan Stacy. Ryan, pop in here real quick. Yes, we got Ryan, the skeptical sleuth. Is that him? I don't know. I'm skeptical. That doesn't look like Ryan. I don't know. Maybe Ryan went to the bathroom. There we go. I tell you what, we'll pop back out. We brought him in too soon. Here, knock him out of there real quick. All right. And that's okay. The boss man, he shows up late. What are you going to do? Anyways, I hope everybody, though, had a fantastic New Year's Eve, and I hope you're excited with the new year. I know I am. Like I said, we've got a lot of awesome guests lined up for 2025. We're going to be doing the same format. You guys get your questions ready. My man in the background, too nice to be mean, Chris Green, he'll be on top of the questions, popping them up in there. And I tell you what, Chris, pop in here real quick. I don't know where our skeptical sleuth is. Where's he at?
I have no idea. His video's not working. We can't hear him.
All right. I tell you what. Well, that's a bummer. Okay. But maybe next weekend. No, next week. Oh, yeah. He's gone. I tell you what we'll do is we'll give another shot next week with that. But that's something that we are going to do. We're going to start bringing Ryan in once a month to give a, quick little update and shout out of things that's going on with TESA. And with you, Chris, how's your world been? Did you have a happy New Year?
Good. We got lots of snow. Yeah, I had a good New Year. I had to work. So did you, I hear?
Absolutely.
We got lots of snow. Little people and snow don't mix.
Little people and snow don't mix. I don't know. I want to see. I think little people and snow,
Well, we
mix.
We fall down and we just disappear.
See, there we go. I can laugh at the jokes. I can't make it, but I can laugh at the jokes.
Yes, you can.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Tonight's guest, this is super awesome. She is very, very interesting. And one of my favorite bios, okay, because it's full of the good stuff. She just threw all the goodies in there, and it's not 10 pages long. I do want to say, Christy Ann, how you doing? Live Light is back in here. David Martin, yes, glad to see you guys pop back in here. Guys, you're going to love tonight's guest. She is the most highly skilled remote viewer in the world. Ooh, I'm loving that. She has helped solve over 70 missing person homicide and theft cases for law enforcement, private investigators, and individuals. She teaches remote viewing, dowsing, paranormal investigating, and lectures on a variety of topics. Kay is a licensed private investigator in Missouri and an author of 17 books, and I heard she's got more coming, okay? So I tell you what, let's welcome. What's that?
The Skeptical Sleuth.
The Skeptical Sleuth now pops in the middle of my introduction. That's just how we do it in show business, folks. All right, pop in here real quick, Skeptical Sleuth. You're late, man. What are you doing?
I was here. It's just a technical issue.
FYI, wait till I do the introduction. Okay, let me finish with the intro here. But let's give us a big round of applause, folks, for the CEO, the Skeptical Sleuth, who's late to his own network. Big round of applause. What's your name again, sir? Ryan Stacy. That's it, right?
That's it. All right. Can you hear me?
We can all hear you.
Okay. I apologize for that. I don't know what happened. I had to authenticate. Because I've never been a guest. It's usually I was locked out of the admin. I am so sorry. I apologize.
Well, I tell you what, this is our first run of it. This is our first time. So anything real quick, anything you're working on, any shout out updates, anything you want to announce with TESA?
Yeah, I just got a couple minutes here. I'm just gonna read it off here. So first of all, this quick update about the Experiencers Support Association. And 2024 was a very big year for us. We expanded our research and continue to grow our community of experiencers and truth seekers. One of our key highlights was an overhaul of our reporting system, our visual evidence database, and our timeline features. We added some technology to help us run multiple timelines for multiple types of phenomenon within the ultra spectrum. I need some researchers to help me fill that data, but it's at least set up now that we can have a multiverse, if you will, within the data. You can explore this at our website, www.experiencersupport.org, and just look at the investigations tab. Looking ahead to 2025, we're focusing on bringing in new content creators. We're looking for writers, podcasters, merchants for our shop. Anything you can think of. So if you want to be a part of our team, send us an email at admin@experiencersupport.org. Now, let's talk about an amazing milestone. We are at season 7 of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. Huge congratulations to Danny Whitson for taking on this role as a host. This is his second consecutive year. Ooh. I know his unique perspective will bring something special to this season, and I can't wait to see the conversations unfold. Also, thank you for our amazing producer, Christopher Green. He has been a tremendous help in the logistics with the podcast and everything else going on behind the scenes. For those who are not familiar with TESA, I want you to think about this for a minute. Whether you're an experiencer, a researcher, or just curious about the unknown, we have programs like Experiencers Anonymous and resources that might just resonate with you. We are all fostering a community that is grounded in curiosity, open-mindedness, and evidence-based exploration. We also have some exciting developments coming up soon, though I can't give too much away yet, but stay connected with our social media and throughout our website, and I'll give you updates as they come. Thanks again, Danny and the team, for having me on tonight. Sorry again for being late, and to all you guys watching, we'll work these kinks out. This is new on the spot, but we did it. And remember, to search for the truth is a journey. We're all on this together, and it's through a collaboration and curiosity that we continue to push boundaries of what we know. Before I go, Danny, let me know what you want me to investigate this month, and I'll report back in February with some updates.
I tell you what, one thing I would love, because I mentioned this to Margie backstage. Did you hear about the two guys that they found dead in the forest who were actually hunting for Bigfoot?
I did hear that. Yes,
that's interesting.
That is interesting.
That's very. If you could, anything you could find out about that for us, that would be fantastic.
All right. Well, send me if you can, send me a direct link of the most best evidence, the source video of that, and I'll get to work on that. All right, awesome. Folks, thank you so much. Remember, one lie is enough to question all truths. Stay skeptical. Keep your eyes in the sky. Heal the world. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. That's our very own Ryan Stacy. All right. Better late than never, as I say. Better late than never. That was awesome. All right. Well, I tell you what, Margie, I'm going to bring you right in. Let's bring Margie K in, folks. Let's get her in here. Yes, Margie K. And I hope I got most of that bio out there. Like I said, this is our first episode back in 2025, so I do apologize. But we've already got people here tuning in the chat saying, hey, I'm looking forward to hearing Margie K tonight. So if you don't mind, Margie, go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers better than what I can, at least.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have been a remote viewer for over 40 years. And so that is my number one skill, I would say. And so now I teach classes. I've been teaching for about the last 5 years, and I've switched to online. And so our first class, which was supposed to start last Saturday, but because of the blizzard that we're having in Kansas City, I had to postpone it. So the first class is actually starting this coming Saturday. And that's on my website, that information. I do have a workbook that goes with it, and I've got a second edition that's coming out of that workbook. It's called the Remote Viewing Workbook. I like to write, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, and each one is a different topic. It's going to be fast mover UFOs, Kansas City UFO flaps, paranormal, gateway to the dead, cryptids, everything, the gamut, because I love all those subjects, and I just do a deep dive into all of them. And I found one of the main things I found is that they're all related. So some people want to put things in a category or a box and leave it there, and I see the connections. So,
and it took me a minute to get on board with that too, because I used to be like that, Margie. I was like, no, I don't want to mix my beans and my potatoes, and but it's the more when you dig into it, it is all related. And that's a platform that, that's a kind of a way of thinking here at Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, at TESA too. That's what TESA believes, that these things are all connected. And I think there's even a deeper meaning, like on a consciousness type, reality level with this stuff.
You got it. I totally agree. Yeah, that is what I'm seeing. It's a matter of our perception is based on what's going on in our head, in our reality. It's not something external.
True.
It's and completely external.
And I think one of the worst, and it's probably it's overused a lot. It's been told to us a lot, but it's like, oh, that's not real. It's just in your head. No, wait a minute. Everything you see around us in this reality, all the matter started in someone's head. I mean, the chair you're sitting in right now was an idea, So, I mean, that's where I'm like, there's two different levels here. But now I told you we'd have questions, so I do want to jump right on the question real quick, because she is our number one questionnaire, long-time viewer, and always has the best questions. Live Light, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Liv has a question. Let's see. Welcome, Margie. How does natural remote viewing differ from the traditional controlled remote viewing? Fantastic question.
Well, the main difference is that you do not need anybody else's assistance in order to do it. You do it by yourself. I discovered this on my own a few years ago with a little bit of help from one of my main guides. And I was actually working on a missing persons case, and I discovered that if I send my etheric body out, I could go to the place and watch everything that was going on in real time. Later on, I discovered that I could do that going back in time as well.
Oh, wow.
So anytime, any place, any location, that is how that works. And you are completely conscious. You're not asleep. You don't have to go into a deep trance state. You go to like a medium, what I would call a medium level, just a light hypnotic state. And I have been doing this so many years now that it just takes me a few seconds to get into that level. And then I can send my etheric body out to go check things out.
Now, Margie, what got you into remote viewing? What made this something that, I mean, were you a little girl? I mean, did you realize you could do certain things? How did it start?
Well, it started out, I was probably age 2 when we discovered that I was seeing things other people weren't. So it started with seeing energies around living things and people, and then bright lights around trees, and then the energy field expanded. so I could see further away and also see what was going to happen in the future as far as plant growth and tree growth. I would see that in the season before, and then it would turn out to come out, in the spring. So that just, I was psychic, and I was actually working as a psychic. But in 1985, I had a visit from Valiant Thor. And this was in Seattle, Washington, where I was living for a time. I was going to my massage therapist because I'd been in a car accident. And one day, he just out of the blue says, "Would you like to do a light experiment?" And I'm like, okay. So my spidey sense went up, and I knew something really incredible was about to happen. I didn't know what, but I said, okay, I'll do it. So he showed me a green light for a few minutes, and then a red light, and then back and forth. And these were bright lights as well. And then he says, "Now what do you see?" And so I looked up at him, and all I saw was his skeleton standing there.
Wow.
So I am freaking out. I'm trying to process, how am I seeing this when the head of a man with a helmet on appeared on the wall, and he spoke to me, and he said, "I am Thor, and now you have X-ray vision." And I had no clue what that meant. And the other thing he said was, "We're going to be working together. I'll contact you soon." And he disappeared. The massage therapist had no clue what had just happened. My brother,
so the massage therapist saw this.
He didn't know it happened. He was completely unaware. Thor had actually taken over his body and was the one who asked me if I wanted to do the light experiment. It wasn't even his voice, the massage therapist's voice. It was Thor's voice that came through him. It's just, the whole thing was bizarre. I had never experienced anything like that before, but as I started doing readings for people again, I discovered what X-ray vision meant, and that meant I could now see through into their entire body, see all the organs, the spine, even at a microscopic level, see the blood. And that got me off on the track on remote viewing when several years later, right around 1993, 94, that's when I discovered natural remote viewing when I was trying to find a missing person. And so since that time, I have worked on all of these missing person and homicide cases and helping law enforcement.
So I tell you, before we get into law enforcement, because I do want to ask some questions about that, we've got another real good question here from Live Light. Have you remote viewed off Earth and other dimensions or planets?
Yes, I have.
And, I've seen some interviews where, remote viewers have done that, and they've remote viewed on Mars and have seen some things. Do you care to share one of those stories real quick with us?
Sure. I was asked to look at Mars a few years ago, and by another remote viewer, and I saw structures that looked like the structures in the Southwest that were I can't remember the tribe. Was it Anunnaki? I'm not sure. So. Yes. Carved out of the stone. And I also saw these huge tubes going from place to place that people would get in and travel through. And they look kind of like the inside of giant worms would be what I could say, but they're, like 30 feet across. And so I saw that going on. And also, there were old civilizations that had been abandoned a long, long time ago. That was what I was looking at then. But since then, I do see some things going on there right now. There's activity going on. And as well as the moon. Now, the moon was very, very busy with bases being on the dark side of the moon, but just on the light side, there are solar panels up. And once in a while, people are actually catching these with their telescopes and seeing flashes of light. And that's what it's from.
Now, is it our own government that's on the moon? Or, I've heard rumors that China was doing a lot of stuff on the backside of the moon.
I believe that there are at least 2 to 3 countries that have representation there, and as well as some extraterrestrials.
And I'll never forget the probably one of the first UFO Expo conventions I went to. There was he's a retired astronaut, and he was that's what his books and his information was about, was all the stuff that's going on the moon that we have no clue about.
Yeah.
And what wasn't there a story of something about the moon, like something happened and it vibrated like it was like a hollow shell?
They did some type of experiment. I think they set off an explosion and it vibrated like a hollow shell. Yeah.
And the thing that's this is what people don't understand. What if anybody wants to try to dismiss anything about the moon, this is the issues with that is our moon is so unique. It is so unique. It's it's the perfect size and the perfect distance for us to have the eclipses that we have. That way, everything is perfectly. It's almost like it was perfectly designed this way. And also, when you look at planets throughout the solar system, moon comparison to planet comparison, our moon is ginormous, considering the size of our planet. Most moons are much, much, much smaller than their planet. And we've got a pretty giant piece of rock sitting out there, if that's actually what it is. Some people think it's a satellite, a spaceship, that's been there the whole time. But anyways, I could go down that road forever. But you said you have remote viewed on the moon as well.
I have, and on the backside, I did see a very large opening or doorway come open, and then a craft go in it, and then that doorway close.
Wow!
And I mean, it's gigantic. I can't even imagine how big it is, measuring wise. But yeah, there's a lot of activity there, and it would not surprise me if it was purposely placed. Constance Briggs is more of an expert on the moon. She's written some books about it. I've had her as a guest on my show, and she would be the one to really do a deep dive. But she's, talked about several different theories about it. And like you mentioned, it's in the perfect place, the perfect size. Of course, it affects our tides and everything.
Yes.
If we didn't have the moon, we wouldn't
be here
to exist. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We have to have it. So, and then, like you said, you look at other moons in our solar system. They're misshapen. They're small. They don't look anything like our moon. Yeah, it kind of. If you think about it, if you look at a close-up,
I mean, it's just really weird.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a gigantic craft.
It does. I mean, it's kind of odd. Now, let me do this because this is something I'm interested in, because like you have helped law enforcement, crack cases and whatnot. I do want to talk about a little bit about that after the break, but before the break, I do want to ask you, how did you get that gig? I mean, did they approach you? Did you say, hey, look, I'm seeing this, I need to contact you? How does that kind of happen?
It started out with individuals coming to me for help. And at one point, I realized that I was too close to the family members, that I needed to only work with law enforcement because of the emotion involved. And that was interfering with me seeing what was going on. So I just started saying, you need to have your detective, whoever's working this case, contact me directly. And that works so much better for me. But that being said, I don't turn people down if they can't tell or if their detective refuses to contact me, or if a private investigator refuses to believe that psychics exist.
Now, when they do,
I will work with them.
When they do contact you, do they come off kind of like skeptical and I don't know about this, but we'll give it a try, or do they seem to be more open-minded?
Actually, most of them are open-minded, and maybe they've worked with psychics before. I have had some that were skeptical. I worked with one who said he wanted to. I helped him out with a theft case first, and then he came back to me about a year later with a murder case, a homicide. And I went through, all I needed was the person's name who had been murdered. And then I asked him, was she a teacher? And he said, yes. I said, okay, I've got her. So by the vibration of the name of the person, that's how I find them. I saw the whole thing happen in exact order. I knew that she knew the man who did it, that she opened the door and let him in. He used to be a student of hers. And then they went upstairs and he had a gun, and she did not think that she was going to kill him. She just thought he was desperate. And he made her take money out of the safe that didn't belong to her. I told the detective, I said, this is not her money. She's taken $10,000 out of the safe and handing it to him. And then she thinks she's going to be okay, started walking down the stairs, and he shot her in the back of the head. Well, then I was able to follow him home, saw him working on his car the next morning, got the license plate number, the description and make of the car. I heard his brother pull up and talk to him, and I heard his girlfriend come out and call him by name. So now I had his first name in his car and his license plate number. I was able to follow that to St. Louis and then to Seattle, Washington, to a bar in Seattle, Washington, where he was talking to a woman he knew there and was hanging out with her. This detective, because he knew that first case that I solved for him of that theft case, and it was a big one. I mean, it was a big theft ring. He knew that I was a real deal, and he was just like, I can't believe this, but I'm going after it. He followed the tracks, and 2 weeks later, he calls me up. He says, we got the guy. They got him in Seattle. Yeah.
Was that your first case? The first one you worked on?
No, that was my first really big one.
That was your first really big one. Okay. Well, like I said, I want to hear maybe a couple of more of those. I do want to touch base on some of your paranormal investigating background too. But to me, that's got to be probably the best feeling in the world, that you're using your powers for good. You're catching the scumbags and the bad people out there. And I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it gives the family some resolution. It is not always good news, but at least they know what happened.
And I can't imagine how tough that has to be for you to be able to see these things. I don't like there's some stuff I can't hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. And I can't imagine how tough that must be for you, doing what you do.
I have developed a way to detach myself from it and just watch it like it's a movie and not have that emotional involvement. That's why I prefer not to talk to family.
That makes a lot of sense to me too.
Yeah.
Because, if you do get too much of an emotional hook there, I'm sure it can make your job really tough. But I tell you what, Margie, this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut to a break right here in a second. Give a shout out to the TESA sponsors and TESA. And when we come right back, we'll be talking paranormal, more remote viewing here with Margie K. Folks, we'll be right back.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's your business. It's your property. Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services. Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right. If you guys are just now tuning in, we have been talking with remote viewer, private investigator, and author of over 17 books, Margie K. I tell you what, Margie, let me look right over here to the chat real quick. I want to give a quick shout out to, we got Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa. Happy New Year's. David, $6 Million Man. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Only the old folks get that joke, Margie, you know, but, but anyways, so there's so much to talk with you about, and you know, the remote viewing, like I said, is something that I've been so interested in, especially the more and more I've learned about it. So you know, you have worked on, you said, with over 70 missing people cases, correct?
Yeah, it's over. It's probably about 75 right now. I'm working on one right now.
So now, whenever you do your remote viewing, like with the missing people, is this something, I mean, do you ever kind of like hit dead ends kind of thing? Like you're like, I'm not sure what else. I mean, are you basically, when you remote view, you're only able to see what's available to be seen? I don't know if I'm making sense or not.
Yeah, you are making sense. About 90 to 95% of the time, I don't get a block. I can see everything. About 5% of the time, there is something where either someone has purposely put a block up, or that they want to hide this so much that they've created an energy field around it. And it might take me longer to break through that and to wait until their guard is down, but I will eventually get it.
Now, is this something that someone would know how to do this? This isn't like just a regular old schmo that's, committing a crime and putting some type of energy block up from anybody getting through.
It could be either way. If they know what to do, it's pretty easy for them. If they don't, but they are afraid of being found out, that fear can actually put a block up. So that's, that can block some psychics.
So this is, I find this kind of interesting. Like, you've heard the theory where they say, and I guess it's a quantum physics theory, but where the time all exists at the same, the past, the future, and the present is all happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's kind of like what is going on with the remote viewing? Like you're doing a remote viewing. Like I've heard remote viewers actually do the present of something that's happening right now on another location on the other side of the world. And then remote viewers where they do in the past, where they're looking into the past and then looking in the future.
Yeah, I do all of that. Once your etheric body leaves the physical body, it's in any timeline you want. Because I do subscribe to that belief that everything is going on at the same time. And this is a quantum level here. We're talking about quantum entanglement, quantum physics, and having a mind that's open enough that will allow you to believe you can do it. Because that's 50% of learning how to do this is believing that you can do it. So I
totally agree with you 100%. And I want to touch base on that. We got a question. We got a good question from David Martin. Thank you for your question, David. He says, how does a block work? Just in case David wants to, rob a bank or, do something, he wants to make sure he knows how to block stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you how to do it then. So we all have an energy field around us. And if you intentionally, through thought and meditation, put up, let's say you want to protect yourself from something, you would expand your energy field, and then you would put a mirror on the outside of that field so that anything that comes towards you is just going to be bounced off. All right. So like I mentioned a minute ago, they could intentionally do that, or they might just do that because their desire is so strong to keep people from looking at them that they have put up this block. But here's the thing. There are ways around it. So what I usually do is put myself into the victim. I see things through the victim's eyes. So I will look around, and then, this is just one method. I will look around and see, using the victim to find a location. Another thing I can do is speak to the deceased victim who has crossed over. They're in spirit world. They're in fifth dimension, and have a conversation with them. And they, a lot of times, will lead me directly to where I need to go, right where something needs to be found.
That is interesting. And, the one thing that we were talking about right before David's question is it's something I wanted to, a lot of things is creating the belief in something, and there's so much more to that than believing. Like we've all heard of the I'm trying to think of I forgot the word I'm looking for. Basically, where they would give people sugar pills, and they would give people this medicine when they do these type of things. And people take the sugar pills. They're saying, "Hey, this is really working," but they have no clue they're really sugar pills. Mm-hmm. The placebo effect.
Yes,
that's what I'm looking for, folks. Okay, so that's science. That's tested. That happens all the time. Now, I am no means am I against medicine. No, take your medicine, folks. Okay, but what I'm saying is there is true power in the mind and in belief. And that is 50% of everything you're ever going to do. And whenever you look into, the conscious reality, the consciousness world. I don't know what reality we want to call it, Margie. I don't know if there's a name of it, but I do know there's another reality that exists, and that starts first by opening your windows and open your doors and being open to this stuff. So yeah, I think, I agree with you 100% on there.
I would call it an expanded reality.
The expanded reality. That's really good. And like I said, there's scientific proof of this. And I'm also a firm believer, like in, where people say, well, you can manifest things by saying it and believing it. You're going to get that promotion. You're going to get this. You're going to get these things, and I believe when you put that out there, I believe that's the first step to make and creating your own reality. We've got another great question by Live Light here. Let's see what it is. Is automatic writing a good precursor to remote viewing? And which frequency music would you enhance remote viewing? So writing and to music. What do you get down to? What do you jam to, Margie?
A really good question. In my remote viewing class, I tell people to try automatic writing and other things that will exercise the psychic center of the brain and activate the pineal gland. That is the key to being successful with remote viewing, psychic work, healing work, you name it, the gamut. That psychic center has to be activated. So yes, that is a pathway to remote viewing. It's an excellent thing to do. And then as far as the frequency, I suggest listening to solfeggio tones, singing bowls, 532 hertz and 432 hertz. If you want to get some mind expansion going, when you listen to those tones and you're in a quiet place and nothing else is distracting you, you would not believe the energy that will go through your body. Physically, you will feel this energy, and it is waking stuff up. So, yeah, I highly suggest meditation and different types of tones and music.
Let's see, David Martin. Who is in control of the football in the White House now?
Yeah, I don't get into politics, and I don't remote view top secret locations. So
man, yeah,
that is off the table.
I don't know where that football is, but it's up somebody's butt somewhere. So, but good question, I guess, David. Let's hope it stays there. And but anyways, good question, David. Let me ask you this. So you said you remote viewed in the future. Do you
occasionally? I have my own somewhat of a block myself about seeing the future, and I'm not perfect at it.
Can you give us maybe do you have a review of anything? Because this is the first episode of 2025, Margie.
Okay.
Can you kind of tell us
coming up for
to come?
Yeah, I'll tell you what happens with me is I can do the future easily if it is something that's going to happen within a few minutes. Like I'll go to the dog races, and if I hear a certain number, I know that dog is going to win in 15 minutes, and I will go put a bet on it. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but they took the dog track away from us now, Kansas City, but that's that sort of thing. The other thing I see in the future is major catastrophic events. Okay. So there's something I've been seeing for years, a couple of things I'll mention. First of all, the New Madrid fault. Big danger area. I see that going off, and I hear a very, very large earthquake, 9.0 to 10.0, and it is going to wipe out Memphis and St. Louis, everything along there, and all the bridges going across the Mississippi. I see that happening, and I've seen this vision over and over and over again. I would not be living in that area. I would.
Well, that's a bummer because I'm in East Tennessee. I'm in the Tennessee Valley. Am I gonna?
You're in a safer place, but you are going to feel it. It's going to affect you. In fact, I've seen in some of my visions chimneys falling in Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
in my town. So, yeah. Then the other thing is the Ring of Fire is all going to go off one right after the other, volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis. Oh, that is bad, bad, bad. And yes, David, we're talking
Like in 1804.
worse.
Is that where the
Much-
Mississippi River ran backwards?
flowed backwards. It changed its course, and also the Missouri River. And yeah, it will be 100,000 times bigger and worse because it was very sparsely populated at that time. And now the population is incredible.
Oh, wow. Well, I tell you what, Margie, any good news? Because that has depressed me.
Yeah, it does depress. Yes, there is good news. The good news is that I see our Earth and our solar system. Of course, we're all spinning around in the galaxy, right? It doesn't feel like it, but we are. We have now entered phasing into fifth dimension. So at this high vibration, this higher frequency, it is forcing people to make a choice and move and advance their own frequency. And it's also making people become more aware. People who weren't psychic before at all are now, and they're seeing things, and they may not understand it. It might be confusing to them, and they're seeking people like me out. And then the people who are of such a low frequency that they can't deal with it are going a little bit crazy. So that's going to get worse. That's going to get worse. And then after a while, everything's going to even out, and it's going to be much, much better.
Yes, Live Light, the Ring of Fire in the Pacific. That's what you were referring to, correct,
That's
Margie?
the only Ring of Fire I know of, yes.
Gotcha. The definitely a few Ring of Fires if you eat Taco Bell as much as I do, but I think she's talking about the one in the Pacific.
No, I don't.
Liv's got another question here. Let's pop in here, get another question here real quick from Live Light. Do you see open alien and interdimensional beings contact in the near future? Which is a great question because right now, Margie, I know with all the drone stuff going on and there's with the UAP hearings, but what's your take on that for the future?
It's already started. It's already been going on for quite some time. ETs and interdimensional beings have been contacting humans forever, and I'm one of those people. I mean, I am in contact with a number of interdimensionals and ETs, with Thor being the main one. And he told me 2 years ago that there was a deadline that was put on the UN and the US for disclosure, and they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And so he said, September of 2024, we're going to make ourselves known. And look what happened. That's what they're doing.
They're
letting everybody know that they're there, and they're not killing people. They're not plasma lasering people, like a couple of people have said. No, they're letting people know. They're getting everybody used to the fact that there's something else out there that they need to be aware of.
And it's kind of, I don't know if you've noticed this, but it is weird how people are nonchalantly, and I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but they just kind of accept it. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it is a generational thing because, just think about how many years they have been subjected to cartoons with ETs and books and movies. I mean, Hollywood, that it's all preparation.
And also, I also think with the newer, younger generation, they're subjected to, they have so much more information at their fingertips than what we ever had growing up, you know? And so I think it's just, it's more normalized to them, and which I think is great, which is fantastic. Now, let me ask you, but other than, homicide cases or missing people, you've also remote viewed on paranormal type investigations, correct? And so you've talked to, if you want to call them spirits, interdimensional beings, is this something that you teach in your course as well to be able to do?
I do, and I have several courses up already. but I'm working on more this year. And I'm getting a deeper dive into it. The paranormal part, what is most helpful to me is when I'm called for an investigation, if somebody's got a problem, it's usually a big problem. I will remote view that house or building before I ever step foot out of my house, because I want to know what I'm getting into. So that, to me, is the number one thing that everybody should know. Everybody who's a paranormal investigator should be able to do that, or at least have someone on their team that can do that, because sometimes you don't want to go in there. And that's a low percentage, but it does happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, I went into a lot of places before and just picked up a vibe right off the bat. It's like, this place is dark. There's some dark stuff in here.
Yeah, and you don't want to bring anything home with you, and so I've got some workshops on that, on protection and things like that. And then when I'm doing a UFO investigation, or if I'm helping another investigator out with the UFO case or my own case, I will remote view to see what happened, because that person may think they've been abducted. I'll be able to look and see. The person might not remember anything, but they've got a piece of evidence and they're like, what happened? And I'll see what happened. Usually I'm not telling the client this, and I'm not writing it down in a report, but it's helpful to know before you go if something really did happen.
So I'll tell you what, now, if because I know you've got your podcast and you do your courses, but what would somebody need to do if they wanted to take one of your courses, learn more about you? Where can they find your books?
Just go to my network site at unxnetwork.com, unxnetwork.com. That's where you can sign up for things. Also my website, margiek.com. It's Kay. And everything is on there. All my books, all of our workshops and courses, shows, all of that.
And now, what was the name of the podcast?
My podcast is called UNX News.
UNX News?
Yeah, my network is UNX Network. We have 21 shows on our network. And then I have my podcast. I'm on every Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely be checking that out. And I want to, head over to your website and check on some of those courses. And now, and you do jobs where people could, have you remote view, maybe a haunting, something that's going on with their home, or maybe a UFO abduction, like you said, they may have had experience.
Yep. They can, if investigators need help, or if somebody has a really, really big problem in their house and they want to know what's going on, I will help them with that. I just had a new book come out called How to Research Your Haunted House. And the first half was written by Violet Wisdom. She talks about what you can do to find out the history of the house and the occupants, which will help you determine who's doing the haunting in a lot of cases. And then my half of the book is helping you figure out who's doing the haunting and why they're doing it.
That's awesome. That sounds so interesting. There's so much to talk to you about with Margie. This show it's I don't think one episode is enough. What do you guys in the chat think? I don't think one episode's enough with Margie. We'll have to bring her back on here and cover more stuff, because we hardly even got into the paranormal side and some of the remote viewing stories that I would have loved to hear, but I would love to have you back on the show.
Be glad to do it. Thanks so much, Danny. I appreciate it.
Well, and I tell you what, so Friday Central Time, we can, and you said it was, what was the name of the podcast again?
UNX News.
UNX News, Friday Central Time, and we can catch it on YouTube, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. And we will head over to the website if you'd like to use Margie's services. I know I want to check that out. I do, because like I said, I find this stuff very interesting. Margie, you have been an amazing guest. Like I said, I want to get you back on the show to, talk more. And Happy New Year, Margie. And thank you for being our first guest of 2025.
Happy New Year. It's been great. Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I did, okay? Margie K, man, that's some really cool stuff. Unex News, yes, Live Light. Go check it out this Friday. Yeah, go check it out. Yes, Lisa, I know an hour goes by so quick. It does. It goes, especially when we got great guests. And like I said, we got some really cool guests lined up this year. You guys are going to love it. I tell you what, thank you guys for popping back in here. Fantastic questions tonight. Liv, always. David, thank you for getting involved. And just keep them coming, keep them coming. And like I said, each episode, we're going to have one episode, the first episode every month. Ryan's going to pop in and cover some investigation, some really interesting stuff. And you're going to notice that we're going to get Too Nice to Be Mean Chris Green a little involved in the episode a little bit. So, and he's a little stage fright about that, folks. So we got to get him. We got to encourage him to do that. Guys, if you have not done so, be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Share with your friends, share with your mama, share with your daddy, share with your uncles, share with your aunties. Tell them about us. Be sure to like and subscribe, like I said, and hit the like button too on these things, because that helps. That gives us help. And also, if you guys listen on Apple Podcasts, give this podcast a review, a good one. Give them a good review, okay? Also, head over to my social at Super Magic Boy on Instagram and Danny Whitson Magic and Comedy. Show me some love. Give me a like. Give me a follow. Come out and see a magic comedy show. I would love that. Guys, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I always have to remember to say that. So sometimes it's a mouthful too. Hey, if you guys will, head over and check out Margie. Maybe get her to do some of her remote viewing. If you think your house is haunted. Hey, I think, she's done a bunch of these, okay? And she's from Missouri, a lot of great people. That's the show me state. So she's in the perfect state for showing you how to remote view. So you couldn't probably get a better teacher I couldn't think of, and check out some of her books. But all right, guys, like always, keep the normal paranormal or the paranormal normal. It's been a year since I've been on here, so take it easy. I'm okay. All right, I'm tired. But keep the normal paranormal, folks, my paranormal junkies. And I will see you guys next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, with another fantastic show. All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.